And in other news, the man who raped and killed Melbourne woman Jill Meagher was on parole for other rapes at the time of that attack. Adrian Bayley faced a pre-sentence hearing at the Victorian Supreme Court in Melbourne, where suppression orders over his long and sexually violent history were lifted. Sky News Melbourne reporter Matt Galland has more.
41-year-old Adrian Bayley sat staring at the ground as Justice Jeffrey Nettle lifted suppression orders, shedding light on the Coburg man's violent history. It can now be reported Bayley was on parole for other rapes the night he raped and murdered Jill Meagher in Melbourne's north on September the 22nd last year. The court heard Bayley was jailed in 1991 for 5 years with a minimum of 3 over 6 charges, including rape. He was later released on parole before being jailed again in 2002 for 11 years for 16 counts of rape involving 5 victims. Bayley was released on parole until March 2013. The court heard the 41-year-old is considered a serious risk of ongoing sexual offences, his defence saying Bayley should be jailed for a life sentence, but are arguing for a non-parole period to be imposed. During a recent psychological assessment, Bayley was diagnosed with having a borderline personality disorder, his defence pointing to the fact that Bayley has an alcohol dependence and also evidence of both physical and sexual abuse he suffered in his younger years. The court heard statements from Jill Meagher's family and friends, all speaking of the ongoing pain they suffer. Her father says it was a brutal ending to his daughter's life, while husband Tom wrote he's still haunted by the visions of what happened to Jill near their home in Brunswick. Bayley pleaded guilty to the rape and murder of Jill Meagher in an alley off Sydney Road. Her body was later found buried in a shallow grave in Gisborne South. Bayley will be sentenced on Wednesday next week. Matt Galland, Sky News, Melbourne.